Yo guys, today we're going to be talking about another amazing man. We're going to talk about a king, an emperor of an empire, of a West African empire. So let's get right into it because this man is very important, so let's start talking about it. Askia the Great, born Mohamed Ture, was the ruler of the Songhai Empire of West Africa in the 14 and 1500s. Askia was born in a region of the Senegal River, and Askia was part of the Songhai military and was an ambitious and intelligent statesman. He also was a very spiritual person as well as a good tactician. When Songhai Ali Bur died in 1492, his son took the throne, in which his son was nothing like his father. He was liberal, weak, and incompetent. Now with this, Songhai Ali Bur's son also denied Islam, and Askia and Islamic fundamentalists began a campaign to overthrow him. With this overthrow of power, two important battles were fought. Hundreds of thousands of men fought in a war and were wounded heavily or killed. In 1493, Askia finally beat Songhai Ali's son, even though he had less warriors on his side. Soon after, Askia the Great assumed the throne of Songhai Empire, or the Songhai Empire. One of the first tasks that Askia tackled was to unify the different religious factions that disagree with each other. Now, after this unification, he expanded the empire rapidly, in which included the Hausa states and former Malian Empire territories. And these territories that were formerly part of the Mali Empire paid tribute to the Songhai Empire. By the 1500s, the empire covered modern-day northern Nigeria all the way to Senegal. Askia the Great created policies that increased trade with Asia and Europe, as well as standardizing currency measures and weights. He also encouraged literacy and learning for all people of the Songhai Empire. Askia also created positions for agriculture, justice, waters, forest, interior protocols, and directing finances. This period was the cultural revival in the golden age of the scholarship at Timbuktu with the Songhai Empire. He also initiated the policing of trade routes as well as pushing education. Pushing education would lead to universities producing the most distinguished scholars. Many of these scholars published significant books as well. To secure the power of the empire as well as generations to come, Askia married off his daughters and nieces to chiefs around the empire, as well as Askia taking on chiefs' daughters and nieces for his wives. Askia also allied himself with the scholars from Timbuktu. He knew that the key to keeping power was to have the high priest of the government stay out of his business and affairs. He also created an army and a reserve to police the kingdom. The army was made up of a full armored cavalry that was also equipped with lances, poison arrows, and other weapons. Under Askia's rule, he demanded for canals to be dug and harbors to be erected. Merchant and warships were also built in large production numbers and served as empire protection and for commerce purposes. We also must note that his main naval fleet was located in the center of the river as well. A very good trading relationship was developed between Portugal, Egypt, Morocco, and other African and Mediterranean empires. Education also became a big focus of Askia, and he wanted to create the most advanced educational institutions in the world. The children of the Songhai Empire were encouraged to study abroad in other African kingdoms as well as in Asia and in Europe. Foreign scholars from around the world were also invited to study at Timbuktu as well. The astronomers of the Songhai Empire studied stars and comets, and the common person was well learned in the Songhai Empire as well too. Askia was a Muslim, but he also tolerated traditional African religions, Judaism, and other Islamic sects, though he established Islam as the official faith of the empire. He also consulted with scholars at Timbuktu and went through with a diligent campaign to produce the most well-educated citizens in the world as well as in the Muslim religion. With his efforts, Askia birthed many successful writers, scholars, and thinkers. Also students and scholars, as well as students and scholars that were abroad from the Songhai Empire, would bring back knowledge from foreign empires and countries as well. The knowledge fueled the country, the economy, military, innovations, and science. This was the golden age of the Songhai Empire. Once Askia organized his empire, he was able to leave the capital and make his journey to Mecca in 1496. His trip is legendary, and he took thousands of infantrymen, horsemen, and 300,000 pieces of gold. This trip was religious as well as a political trip. He met with the head of the Islamic Church, and this was so he could be appointed as a religious representative in West Africa. This was a success as he was granted permission. In 1497, Askia returned back to his Songhai Empire and was a spiritual ruler of all of West African Muslims. We must note that during Askia's rule, he also allowed regional kings to keep ruling after he conquered them, but they would have to pay a tribute to the empire. Though in other locations, he created a post with an inspector that would mirror or look over the local governors of the area. As we learned before, these types of conquests were also due to the Songhai's naval power along the Niger River. Massive warships and construction of new ports all played a role into the quickness of the army being deployed. During this period, the Songhai Empire had a very rich, intelligent, strong empire. This time period was a cultural revival, and Askia the Great had made one of the strongest empires in history. But as we know, what goes up must come down. And in Askia the Great's older age, he went blind. With his blindness came downfalls and secrets. First, he did not want the citizens of the empire to know that he was blind, so this to Askia would result in a sign of weakness. For many years, only his closest friends and family members, as well as government associates, knew. He soon after chose his brother to speak on his behalf so that no one saw Askia's face directly. Though this did not last long, and soon the truth was being spoke around the entire empire. Soon after this, one of Askia the Great's sons revolted against him and forced Askia to leave his home and his throne. His son then ruled for some time and eventually died. Soon after, another son of Askia the Great took over, in which this son was even crueler to Askia. Soon after, in 1538, Askia the Great died. He was one of the most important leaders in African history, and he was a very, very influential man in the Songhai Empire. And so, today we learned about another African king, emperor, a man that was very important in African history. As always, share, like, subscribe. I just started a new Snapchat, so also add that in the description. And until next time, always learn, and one love. I'm out. Peace.
What's up? What's up?
Hey.
Shalom.
What up?
Hi.
African.
We